Today, what we're working with are solving one-step equations. In the next couple of years with math, you're going to solve equations that have more than one step. For 6th grade, it's fairly simple. It's just one-step equations. All right, so with that, step one. Step one is to do the opposite. So there will be some operation, adding, subtracting, multiplying, or dividing. And to solve it, you do the opposite. What's the opposite of addition? Subtraction. Opposite of multiplication? And then vice versa for each of those, right? Okay? Anyone got to guess what step two is? Good, there is no step two. That's why they're called one-step equations. There's one step, right? There is no step two. So here's how it looks. When you do this, you're working it out, and for some it'll be easy enough where you maybe don't have to work it out, but there's others where it is going to be necessary to work it out, especially when we get negative numbers in them. Okay? So when you work it out, you do the opposite. This is plus. Opposite of that, we're going to go minus 5. The reason we do that is it makes it cancel out on that side. Equations, though, have to stay balanced. If you do something to one side, the same thing has to get done to the other side. So since we did a minus 5 over there, we got to do a minus 5 on the right side. Well, we canceled out the 5s, so all that's left is our variable. Equal sign just keeps coming down. 19 minus 5, 14. See how that works? As I said, for a problem like this, you might not necessarily have to write out the minus 5 on each side. But there are some where you will need to do that, so just kind of be aware of that as you're working on. What type of math do I need to do to solve this? Addition. So we got minus 7. We go plus 7 to both sides. Cancels out on the left. 8 plus 7 gives me 15. All right? Addition and subtraction ones usually are pretty easy. Sometimes with the multiplication and division is where it gets a little bit more confusing, or people are more likely to make mistakes. So what type of math is this? Well, this is multiplication, so I do division. So times 2, we divide by 2. Reason we write it as a fraction, it's easier to make it look like it cancels out. So we divide by 2. All that's left is m. 6 divided by 2, 3. Any questions on that? Most often, this is the one that people make mistakes on, though. It's when it starts off as a division problem. I don't know what it is about these, but that's where kids seem to be most likely to do the wrong thing. A lot of times you'll see it written like that instead. That's just not quite as easy to type it as a fraction, so that's why I put it with the slash. But both are the same. That's division. What's the opposite of division? Multiplication. So we multiply, same thing to both sides. It cancels out. We get x equals 27. All right, so these one-step equations, not so bad, right? So a couple things make them sometimes a little trickier. Negative numbers. This is where it's a little bit more important to maybe work it out. All right? All right, so the reason it's going to be more important to work it out is we got plus 4. So we would do minus 4. When we work it out, yeah, we can cancel it pretty easy. But it helps us see over here, are the signs different or the same? Same. We got minus 8, minus 4. When the signs are the same, what do? Add. So 8 plus 4 is 12. Keep a sign. So that would mean n equals negative 12. All right. By working it out like that, it makes it a little easier to see if the signs are different or the same. Doing it in your head, a lot of times you would make a mistake sometimes and lose the sign. All right, so make sure when you got negative numbers to definitely work them out, okay? Other things that can make things trickier. Not sure why. Some kids have a harder time when the variable's on the right side. So tell you what, go ahead and try this one. This one has an extra little bit of trickiness to it. All right, thinks I got an answer. Nope, negative 15. K equals negative 1. So here's how this works. We do the opposite. The tricky part with negatives, though, that's a minus 7, right? What's the opposite of minus 7? A plus 7, right? So that cancels them out. Now on the left side, I got different signs, right? When the signs are different, we subtract and use the sign of the bigger number. So that's how we get the minus 1, or K equals negative 1. Okay? On a multiple choice problem, they will always write it with the variable equals the number. Doesn't change anything, it just flips it around. Any questions on that one? All right, what type of math do I do to solve this? Subtraction. Just got a decimal, right? So we go minus 5.3 minus 5.3. Cancels out on the left side, so we just got n. If you line up the decimals, all it is subtraction, right? 7 minus 3 is 4. Decimal comes straight down. 9 minus 5, also 4. If we happen to have negative numbers with the decimals, you just follow the rules with the negatives too. Now you got to use the decimal rules and the negative rules. Any questions on the decimal? Whoops. And if we're going to use decimals, guess what? We're going to use fractions too, right? So, what type of math is that? Well, that's multiplication. Do division to solve it, right? So if I divide by 4/5, it's canceling them out over here. I divide by 4/5. When I divide by a fraction, what do? Keep, change, flip. So we'd have y equals, I'm going to go ahead and put the 5 over 1. We keep that. Change it to multiplication. Flip the second. And then we just multiply straight across. So we're going to get 25 over 4. Or they could have, what would that be? 6 1/4 if they put it as a mixed number. Any questions on that? Could you see adding or subtracting or multiplying with fractions also? Yeah. Any type of math, any operation with fractions, decimals, or integers is possible for these equations. So just make sure you're following the rules for your integers, following the rules for equations by doing opposite. Then if you, like I said, you get the fractions and decimals, you've got more rules to follow there too.